I don't know. It's not going live. Can you hear me?
We are live.
All right. All right. All
Yeah,
right. We're good. I think we're good. Yes? Yes, we
yeah,
are.
yeah,
All
we're
right.
good.
Kalimera, Kalispera, Kalinichta, all this amazing stuff that our Sophie says. Welcome, welcome, squaddies, to the women's show with me, Demian and Albert. Please confirm that you're listening to this because it's showing
I
that
am.
it's not
I am.
live.
I can hear you. It's going live. I can see the top left-hand corner.
Okay, lovely, 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 lovely. So, okay, here we go. It started, Albert. It started not as smoothly as I would like, but anyway, here we go, my friends.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
All right. Stina will be one of the many topics I will cover today, not only by me, Demian, but the one and only Mr. Albert JTV. What's up, my brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. This is a privilege, man. Like I've been on Highbury Squad before, but not for a women's show for a long time.
I
Long
know.
time.
And that's how we met. So before we start, I want to say not only thank you to Sophie for entrusting
Yeah.
me and us with this sacred space that is Highbury Squad. Of course, Super Kevin Campbell, who I know is one of your idols, and so is mine. I think we need to do this at ease,
Yeah.
squaddies. Welcome,
Please.
everybody. So this is my first time hosting this show. So I appreciate already all the patience that you'll have with me. Not only you, Albert, but everybody, all the amazing squaddies. We have Matthew, we have Tammy Steele, we have Adam Salter, excuse me. That's an inside joke. Mr. Bungle, we got Demsec, we got a lot of people. I'm really, really excited to be here. We also have beautiful messages from Sophie and from Kevin Campbell himself about this, the good old Thanksgiving holiday
Yeah.
that is about to happen today. Mate, Los Angeles, where I live, it's absolutely insane with traffic. So I'm glad to be indoors. How are things in London? That's more important right now.
Oh, we've got it's a typical in London, man. It's rain, a bit of sun. It's gonna the cold chills the cold chills supposed to be coming this Friday. The temperature's
Ah,
gonna drop.
ooh, well, it's not dropping too much here, but I also want to say that I am very bummed that I didn't get to see you when I would just travel to London to
Oh,
watch the girls play. But
yeah,
it'll be all the sweeter when we do get to hang out and spend some time together. So
100%.
for the audience that might not be too familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your amazing channel, and your love for the women's team?
Well, thanks for the big up for the channel.
Of course.
I think it's all right. Yeah, it's going well. So yeah, I'm with the women's football. I've always said this, and when I said it on the Hybrid Squad as well. The international side of it is kind of my prized little baby because I love tournament football, them in like men's,
Oh
women's.
yeah.
I just love it because we don't get it so often. So we've seen the growth in the women's game. Obviously I've been on here at the Hybrid Squad talking about the women's game, the Arsenal women's game. It does. I've always followed it, but obviously in terms of the content creating side of it, I haven't because of time. But I've always said I'd make a conscious effort, obviously with yourself, Sophie, and a few other guys that like really into the women's football. And yeah, it's a learning experience, man. It is a learning experience more so on the club side of it, less so on the international side of it. So I'm glad to be on, and we'll chew the fat of the women's game.
I love it. And I know we have some things to talk about
Yes.
that are obviously related to Arsenal women, and it's important. But I wanted to touch upon something that I wanted to get your thoughts on. Yesterday, we saw some of the ugliest, for the past couple of days, some of the ugliest sort of side of men's football, and intrinsically linked with toxic masculinity, things as violence in the Brazil-Argentina match. We saw De Paul for Argentina basically pretend to be hit by Joe Linton and get him sent off. Both of those things are ugly in and of themselves in different ways. We saw my home country of Venezuela be subject to xenophobia and awful treatment by the police. The players were abused by the police in the stadium. And that never happens in the women's game, right? I am personally, I'm not afraid, but it can be this only a matter of time until these things happen in the women's game, right? I wanted to get your take on how, since you're there in the trenches, you see this day in, day out, and you're in a football-rich nation, country, city, especially with the women's football, with being an Arsenal supporter. Do you see at any point this ugly side of football seeping into our beloved women's game?
Oh, firstly, I hope not. I think for the women's games that I've been to, it's a completely different feel, man. Like anyone that's been to a game of women's football, whether that be international, domestic, it's more of a. I'm not saying you don't get family feel or families going to men's games, but there's always been that kind of probably get a little bit intoxicated before you go to the game.
Sure,
that's always going to happen, unfortunately. Particularly when it comes to international football with England, anyway. But that's another story. But I hope not to see it like that. I just think you've got a different, and I don't like to hear this. I hear this word passion a lot, right? That's not an excuse, man. That's not an excuse for what I saw yesterday. It's not an excuse for what I've seen previously. I'm glad Demian and Albert grew up in the 70s and 80s in this country when it came to the like proper hooliganism football element of it. That's always still there. It's probably a little bit more suppressed now, but the odd time it does rear its ugly head. But I wouldn't say I'm pretty confident that it wouldn't happen in the women's game, but I just think you've got such a difference in the crowds that go to it and a very, very, very young audience, predominantly female-wise. And you've obviously got younger males going to women's games now, but I don't think we will see it, Demian, but let's be honest, don't hold me to that. 100%.
Sure. That's kind of, it's not that I'm actually afraid, Albert. Like I don't see it, but if everything goes to the direction of where the men's game is, as far as the players' tenacity, technique, height, and strategy, and so on and so forth, maybe this is a thing. But I just kind of wanted to throw it out there. But let's cleanse the palate and let's talk about this unbelievable baller and what she has been doing for our team for the past few matches. Talk to me about the Swedish queen, Stina Blackstenius.
It's interesting with Stina. I find kind of sort of talking in terms of coming to Arsenal and obviously, coming full circle and going forward to what she's doing this season. I don't know how you feel. I think that the one criticism I've had of her is she just needs to be more clinical, man. Seriously. She's got the makeup, the physique, the ability to hold the ball up. But that was my only sort of criticism when I see her play, Demian. But sort of coming forward to this season, I think she's had, is it 8 or 9 appearances or 5 or 6 goals? I don't know what order I've got that right in. So that's a good positive start, man. And it's quite funny with the goal she scored the other day.
Yes.
The 360 air shot.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Right, it sticks it in. But I think the good thing with Stina now, obviously we've brought in Chloe Lacasse, who's obviously very experienced. You've got obviously Russo's come in as well. So I think that you should have the pressure anyway. If you're not scoring goals, your place is not obviously stable being in the team, but you've got guys that can come in and take her place. But I'm very positive at the start of what I've seen of her this season. Because you score goals, Demian, it keeps the people silent. The talk is a little bit more positive. Do Arsenal play to her strengths? That's a conversation I guess we'll have, really.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. I think to your last sentence, we would play to her strengths if she were playing more, right? I mean, we won't really know if she's not playing as much. I was very excited about seeing how she would sort of cope with Alessia Russo being bought, right? How through the summer or after the transfer window in the winter, there was all this rumors and how we barely got Russo, or we barely missed on Russo, yada, yada, yada. And imagine how that would feel for her. Like, what else do I have to do? I'm scoring goals. I'm trying my best. I mean, her off-the-ball work is insane. She's industrious. She's every adjective that you ever want for forward. She can hold the ball up. And I understand that she wasn't as clinical last year. But that's what big players do. They roll up their sleeves and they're like, "Oh, this is how you want it to be? You want me to be on the bench? Okay, when I come out, I'm going to just kill it every time." And she's doing that. And I think that goal for me, that whiff and that, was a microcosm of her. You try, you might fail either because you missed or you're not getting the chances from the coach is not putting you on the team, and you try again and you keep true to yourself. She tried the same shot, and I can't remember the last time that I saw that, where it's not like she whiffed and then she tried left-footed to the other corner. Like she wanted to do the same shot. So I think we're very lucky to have somebody like that on our team, and I think she was rightly rewarded with starting. In the dynamic of Russo behind her, I like, because I hadn't seen, up until I went to London, I hadn't truly seen Russo, her off the ball movement when it comes to deep, coming down deep, and it was unbelievable to see. And I'm excited about that partnership.
Demian, do you think? I think what helps as well is it's no surprise. Obviously, Kelly Smith had joined the coaching setup, and that, listen, if you can't, they must have been buzzing to know that she's coming and they're going to be working with her, and that's surely going to be beneficial for the likes of Russo. I think Russo 24, is she? Have I got that right, or 23?
I don't know. She's definitely early 20s, and
So the likes of her and Stina, maybe that's why she's had. I mean, people put in the chat already that she should get more minutes. Like I said, her goals for the goal she scored this season so far, it's been a good return. So yeah, the likes of having Kelly Smith there, that can't be downplayed, because that's surely going to be beneficial for the Arsenal strikers going forward this season.
Yeah, I think among the things that Kelly might bring, or should bring, you would think, is the camaraderie and the teamwork within strikers, right? We have this thought of it's, on the men's side, right? For most of the people that usually listen to our men's show, they talk about, is it Enketia? Is it Gabriel Jesus? Is it whomever? It's like not either, like they don't have to compete. I mean, they do, but you know what I mean? Like, so we can sit back. If Stina's on fire, great. And Russo isn't, at least Stina's on fire. If Russo's on fire and Stina isn't, well, like everybody has to come in at the right time and contribute. And I think having the figure of a Kelly Smith among the greatest forwards in the history of the game, let alone the women's game, can only help. And speaking of camaraderie and speaking of sort of team and team building, one of the sort of cultural glues of this club, as you and I have talked about before, is this magical lady who is back, and she has been, I mean, to me, having seen her contribute that goal against Villa at the Emirates in person, stretching her leg when it looked so clumsy and probably like I thought she might have gotten hurt, and to have that assist for Russo in scoring, that was incredible. And I just think that whenever she comes in, either as a sub or starts a match, the teams just look like, it's almost like, oh, this makes sense again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. The thing is, with someone like Beth, she's such a key player, man. Goal machine, assist machine. I think there's only in 2022, Demian. I think she's just only the second player in WSL history in a calendar year for most chances created. Like, you can't, that's a big miss, man. So I think she got called up back into England squad. I think
she did.
A year exactly. Yeah. Arsenal this season, like from an offensive point of view, we're going to put some teams to the sword this season. We'll talk about defensive issues a bit later, but yeah, and just to get Beth back, I know obviously we'll talk about Viv as well. Just to get her back is like almost the icing on the cake, and it's almost getting a new signing, isn't it? Because she's been away for so long, for club and country, and like you said, you went to the Villa game, and she comes on and she gets an assist. You can't, that type of quality is very, very difficult to replace. That's nothing on the ladies that are going to come in and play in her position, but
sure.
yeah, to get her back is just is amazing. We've got a manager, obviously she's been out a long time, but to get her first start, Jonas obviously felt she was ready, and yeah, what a player to get back into the team, man. Seriously.
I think one of the things that you said that stood out was the old Wengerism of when somebody so and so comes back, it'll be like a new signing, right?
Yeah.
And that was the excuse to not sign, I don't know, Draxler for 18 transfer windows or something like that. Yeah. But in all honesty, I think that when a player like Viv or Beth or Leah, those aren't normal squad players, right? Yeah. That keep the status quo. These aren't players, and this is no offense to any other player, but let's talk about the men's team. It's not like, if Fabio Vieira gets injured and he comes back, it's not the feeling of, oh, it's like a new signing when he finally comes back. It's definitely not. If Declan Rice gets injured for 4 months and he comes back, that's the conversation, right? Or that's the type of player. Beth is elite. Same with Viv and Leah, and I'm excited to see them back. And with the Chloes of the world and the other players that are sort of have had to cement their places on the starting lineup, do you see Beth as an asset, or do you feel like she might, disrupt a little bit of the momentum we've been building, 5 matches unbeaten? Where do you stand on that? I know it's a controversial question.
No, that's not controversial. Like with any player, look, a player can be a top player, but if you've been out for a long time, you've got to earn your place back in the team.
Sure.
And people might argue, well, on reputation, she should go in anyway. But I'm like, yeah, but an ACL is an ACL, man. It takes a long time to recover back, and some people don't recover back that well. So it's about managing her back into the side, and she will get back into the side, injury permitting. And that's just going to be on the ladies that are currently in the team now, or might get picked ahead of her, to give Jonas a bit of a headache and say, actually, you know what? As good as Beth is,
sure,
she might just have to wait a little bit longer. So. But that's the good thing for them. That's the good thing for Jonas Eideveld. That's a good headache to have. And like I said earlier, offensively, we could really do some damage this season. But in order for us to feed the likes of Miedema when she comes back, and the likes of Russo and the likes of Lacasse, got to have the players that are able to, put that. What does Kevin say normally? That pass through the eye of a needle. Yeah, I got that right. Right. Yeah, you need the supply for these, as good as they are. But yeah, in regards to Beth, like any player, for me personally, you earn your way back into the side, particularly for her coming back from such a serious injury.
And speaking of earning, your place back into the squad or a squad, where do you stand on her being called by Sarina Wigman to play for the Lionesses alongside Russo and Lotte Wubben-Moy? Do you think it's too soon? You're the tournament Lioness guy. What's up?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. It is, because she's only just come back. I mean, I can only put it down to the fact that, listen, there were a couple of misses for England in that World Cup. I know they got to the final, but the likes of, you got the likes of your Mead and your Williamson, and your Frank Kirby's missing. They're good players, Demian, man. They do make a difference. So I get it from that point of view. I guess for if you're talking about from an England point of view, for the ladies that play in their position, it's like it's good to have Beth back, but that's somebody who's actually going to take your place in the team.
Yeah.
So that's going to put them on guard. But now it's a good question. I'm kind of thinking about it. Is it too early? I mean, she's in the squad. Whether she actually, I would assume she'd get game time. I don't see why you would take Beth and put her in the squad to not play any minutes. But again, there might have been a private conversation between Jonas and Serena, possibly, in terms of managing her back into the fold, I assume. So I don't have a major problem with it. I just don't think probably she might play. She'll probably feature not as much as we might think.
It's interesting. And as far as the players from the Lionesses that you enjoy up to, I know you and I are massive Alex Greenwood fans, so she's
Very.
immovable. She's there forever, right? And hopefully she'll play at Arsenal at some point.
Yeah.
Where do you see, or how do you see the forward line for the Lionesses with Beth or without Beth? How do you see them lining up?
Cool. That's a good question, man. Because you saw in the World Cup that Serena had to do a lot of tinkering, a lot of changing, because obviously injuries and then suspensions and then this and then that. So we had a bit of a situation where you had kind of Russo and Hemp was a little bit more central. I would like, I'm not saying Hemp can't play a bit more centrally, but I would like her out wide. I just think she's devastating. Or if you do get her centrally, 30, 40 yards out from goal and entice centre backs to isolate them and to get them space for the other guys. But going forward is such a good problem for England, man. Russo is, I don't think she's your, I don't know how you feel, them. I don't think she's your natural goal scorer. I'd say she does a lot of fantastic work outside the box, by the way, and does a lot of work for the team as such. So she's still young. There's still time for her to be super clinical in terms of Russo. What I do know is whoever's going to get that sort of birthing place as the main sort of striker, or the number 9 as such. Obviously Frank Kirby's come back, and for me, I said this, Demian. Much I love Leah and obviously Beth, I actually thought Kirby was the biggest miss for England, because she's that one that just links, that final jigsaw in the puzzle when she sees a pass before she hits the pass, and such a key player. So Russo's got the shirt at the moment, but obviously not forget Rachel Daly, who had a fantastic last season, 20+ goals in WSL.
Yeah.
So it's hard because Daly's fantastic in the air, she's clinical, but obviously Serena never played her up front in the World Cup.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's a tough question, Demian, man. I have to think about it for the next few months, man. But
I'm glad you're not Serena.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good problem, man. It's a really good problem to have.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's a great problem to have. That's what you want. Everybody fit. You want people not knowing what's going to happen. You want to look at the lineup and be mad at Jonas because the players that you want aren't there, or the same with Wigman or whatever. So I'm excited to see that, and nothing probably has me more excited than the imminent return, full stop, starting matches, being, all of it. I mean, we all miss her. She's a star. I can't wait to see her play often. And that one, I forget who I forget the match, but that one pass when she came in and just sent Beth Mead through 1-on-1 with a keeper. I mean, that was just like,
was that Bristol City away, wasn't it?
It might have been Bristol.
Yeah.
It might have been. I have the worst memory.
She
God.
came back for that. Yeah, she did. She did come back for that game.
I mean, that pass alone, when people say, and this is no dig to anybody that has come in Viv's place, when they say, oh, we're cool with Viv, the future is so-and-so, whether it's Manum or Palova or whomever, I just love that pass because it was like, excuse me, you were saying? What? Oh, okay. Got it. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, that pass was just unbelievable. And I am of the belief that she is, to a degree, and I know there are different players, or for me, in my mind, she encapsulates what you're mentioning about Fran Kirby. This pass before the pass, the vision. She's her football IQ is off the charts.
Insane.
And I'm curious to know, similar to the question that I asked you before for the Lionesses, what would be your preferred attacking 4 or 3, or how do you envision, what would be your ideal lineup?
Ooh, because with Viv, she can play a little bit deeper, can't she?
Yes.
So that's an option. You can have Beth obviously right. You could have obviously Caitlin Ford. I've got Caitlin Ford. I can't forget Caitlin Ford. Oh my god, I love Caitlin, man. So God, you could have Caitlin Ford, Beth on the right. You're not going to leave Russo on the bench. I think she'd probably start ahead of Black Stenius, whether that's a contentious point. And then you got to try and get Viv in there, but it depends how you set up your midfield, really, because
Right.
Obviously, you've got Kim Little. I love Kim Little, man. Pulover's obviously come in and done well in that sort of link-up play area. Kyra Cooney Cross, what a mouthful that is.
Unbelievable. Oh,
yeah,
man.
you know what? When we signed her, I was like, oh, that one came out of the blue. I think that was on the last day of the transfer window. I think it was. We got Kyra Cooney Cross in. She's done okay. From the games I've seen, she's done all right. I think give her a little bit more time, and you know what? She might start knocking on the manager's door, or Jonas will say, you know what? She's in. She's starting.
Yeah.
I
love really like her.
Yeah, I like Cooney Cross. She looks fantastic. But I think it's a case with Jonas. I don't know what you feel them in this season. I think he's not sure what his best 11 is. And I think it's a good thing in the sense of maybe in terms of you might feel that certain options are better than others, but I just think he's not really sure yet. And the main reason why I say that is, even if you look at it from like, we'll probably come onto it in terms of the defensive side, but yeah, I won't say too much. But no, it's obviously Beth, Caitlin Ford, Russo, and somehow, if you can, squeeze Viv in there, fully fit.
Right.
Somehow.
I like that. I have there's this sort of idea that you just do not disrupt Caitlin Ford and Steph Catley on the wing, right? Which I don't subscribe to necessarily. It's not like, with all love and respect to the girls, it's not like we're talking about Messi and Dani Alves type of telepathic communication. It's not like they're both getting 20 plus goals or setting up this immaculate connection of players. So I would always have Katie McCabe on my team. That's the first name on the sheet. And if I had to have her on the left, I'd rather it disrupt the partnership with Steph, but have Katie there, because she's among the most resourceful players on planet Earth. Then keep that and have maybe playing her at right back or something like that, where I do think that Katie could play central. I've spoken about this before. I write it on my blog all the time.
What do you think her best position is?
Katie?
Okay. Yeah.
This is not a cop out, but I would give her free reign to do whatever the hell she wants.
She's that good. Yeah.
I saw her play. I mean, everybody you've seen them many times. Most people in the chat, by the way, thank you for liking. Thank you for all your comments. I'm not the best at, setting up the comments. We have help behind the scenes, which I appreciate it. And that help is Sophie, the best. And I'm going to read this message. Thank you to all the squaddies who've tuned in for our Arsenal Women's show. My goal is to have hundreds live in the live chat and all that stuff. So thank you. Also, shout out to ZENITH Coins before I forget. And of course, thank you. Smash the like button, all that other stuff. So I think when I saw Katie play with Ireland against the U.S., I flew out to St. Louis to watch her play. And Louise Quinn and Denise O'Sullivan, who I love as well. Rusha Littlejohn, whom she's a player that I like as well. Katie was all over the pitch. And it reminded me of, back in the day, I saw the U.S. national team play against Trinidad and Tobago with Dwight York.
Yeah.
And Dwight was all over the pitch. He was taking every free kick, corners. He was taking... he was spraying passes from the midfield. He was going back all the way to the defensive box to get the ball. So I don't see Katie as a normal player. I think she's tenacious. I think she's a modern player. She's a player of the future. We talk about so-and-so's a throwback player. To me, Katie McCabe is a throw forward player. That's where people will want to be in years' time. So I do have an issue when coaches don't play her or give her limited minutes, not based on fitness, but based on strategy. Yeah. And I know nothing. Look, I hit stuff for a living, so I don't take my word seriously. This is just like a personal opinion. And the players that have come in central, honestly, the Frida Manums of the world and other players, I think that Katie would do a better job.
Okay.
And yes, Exactly.
Of course,
She just got
yes.
voted
Deserved.
Player of the Month.
Scoring bangers.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if and I know I sound very, very biased, but if she's not nominated among the top 10 of the Ballon d'Or next season, we might as well pack it in, and it's like it just means nothing. There's no credibility to that because she is just an unbelievable player, and I'm really happy for her. And I know we wanted to talk about the defensive side of things, but before we do, I'm gonna have a little break here, and I'm gonna show you guys a beautiful message that was sent to us by the Queen of Queens, the legend that is Sophie Nicolau.
Hey Squaddies. Hello Arsenal Universe. A very special message to everyone who is part of Arsenal America, to all of the branches, all of the fans who belong to the Arsenal universe here in the United States. Just wanted to wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving. I hope this message finds you all in great health, happiness and safety. There's a lot going on in our world right now, and the one thing that we can do that Super Kev always talks about is spread love. One of the things that we're really proud of in our Highbury Squad community is how people from all corners of the earth, diverse cultures, have become friends and have created a live chat that welcomes everyone, loves everyone, and connects with everyone. To coin a phrase from a very famous monarch, it has no doubt been an annus horribilis for me and my family. And I know there are many of you out there who have had a difficult time and a difficult year. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I'm so grateful and thankful on this Thanksgiving for all of the people in my life, everyone who watches and listens to the Highbury Squad, Super Kevin Campbell, who has become such an important person in my life, and there's nothing more I love than to talk football with such an epic human. To everyone who makes the Highbury Squad possible, thank you so much. And to all of you who have reached out to me during this difficult time, I appreciate every single one of you. Sending lots of love, so much gratitude, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. At ease, everyone. At ease.
Beautiful message from a beautiful person. And if I can add to, not to her message, but a message to Sophie, and obviously all of us, we all love you, we're all admire you, we respect you, and we are aware of you having difficult times with your family. We send love for those that are believers. They send prayers, and we send good vibes and healing vibes. And I think the idea of this world that we take part in, I to a small degree, but you, Albert, you do this as well. Obviously, Sophie, Kev, and all the other amazing people in the Arsenal community. We try to add value to people's lives, and we also try to distract. And sometimes life gets to places where it's so difficult to unplug, and we sometimes need this platform as much as the people on the other end need it. And I'm just so grateful to have Sophie in my life as well. And Kevin Campbell, the legend, played for Arsenal. He's like what most of us dream of being. Kevin embodies. But Sophie is a woman that has been a pioneer in the women's football coverage in this country, being a proud member of the LGBTQ community. She's somebody that has been a trailblazer and has done so much, not only for the community at Arsenal at large, but, you know, her appearances at Talk Sports, Sky Sports. I mean, we're talking with a bona fide, amazing human being that allows us and gives us the grace to be in her life. So I want to thank you, Sophie, and I want to thank, obviously, all the squaddies for being a part of this. Same to you, Albert. What she has done through this show has been forged friendships that are that transcend, you know, geography, you know, and it's just amazing to be a part of, and I'm very thankful. So Sophie, thank you. We love you very much.
You do.
Now, there's something I've been wanting to ask you about the defense, which you have mentioned before, right? So I wanted to get your diagnosis or what you think. And I also want to ask you about Lotte. I want to ask you about Ilestedt.
Yes.
And also why the actual F are we not seeing Laia Codina and Amanda Ilestedt as our central pairing? Go ahead.
Oh dear. So yeah, I was looking at the team lineups for Arsenal ladies this season, and it has changed, and I think it's not been consistent in terms of, obviously Ilestedt probably works better in a back three. I'm not saying she can't play as a centre back pairing, but she is better in a three. You know, we see her play for Sweden, very defensively set up, very structured. So maybe she might struggle with that a little bit. She's done okay the games I've seen her in, but I think she's probably better in a three. That's the first thing. Yeah, I don't know in terms of Laia Codina what's going on there. She's not featured that many times this season. For a centre back as classy as she is, as good as she is, a World Cup winner, by the way. I can only assume and put it down to the fact that she's being bedded in. But I'm like, she's a very good centre back, and we are missing our mainstay in Leah Williamson. But I don't think it's a coincidence, Demian, that it's not been that settled defensively. One clean sheet in 7, and I think that clean sheet was just recently against Brighton. I think it was.
Yeah.
We've conceded in all the other games, so. I think McKay played at right back a few times as well. Like, I know you want to play the inverted thing and she comes into midfield, but we need some more continuity, man. He must know, Jonas. I'm assuming he does know who his best defensive unit is. Yeah, we're only 7 games in terms of WSL games, but just want to see a little bit more continuity and some of the mistakes being made that I'd expect better from guys that are very, very experienced. What's going on with the situation right back with is Maritz is normally the right back that plays for Arsenal. But again, he's played McCabe there. I don't know. Catley's obviously sound class fullback. It would concern me if Demian, if you're not, what you want is, you obviously from an offensive point of view, you want your striker to do the business. You want your midfield to be your cornerstone and to be the link between the attack and defense and so forth. But you need your defense to be keeping clean sheets. You've got the same goalkeepers, no excuse there. It's not a different goalkeeper. Zinsberger's probably thinking, you know what, we need to be a bit better here. I need to see the same partnership playing week in, week out. But it's a problem. It is a problem because it needs to be addressed, because scoring goals not a very issue for Arsenal season, but defensively, yeah, 1 clean sheet's not good enough, man.
It's a hard point for me to sort of even try to talk about, because I don't have stats with me. And a lot of what I say, if anybody reads my blog, shameless plug, thatarsenalwomenblog.com, or listens to that Arsenal Women podcast, I very feelings-based and opinion-based. And when Ilestedt and Codina were bought, to me, it just makes sense. Or you would think it would make sense. Then the idea of Leah coming back for me was, which out of those two, or added Jen Beattie, would play with Leah Williamson, right? Because I don't think that I'm a person that thinks that Lotte Wubben-Moy is better either as a defensive midfielder or even a right back. I think she would be a phenomenal cover for the right back. When Steph Catley would get injured, we would have Katie McCabe. When, not that these players are replaceable, right? When so on gets replaced, if Beth is out, we have somebody else. But with our right back, it was either Noel Merritt or Laura Wienreuter. And obviously Laura did her ACL as well. So for all intents and purposes, we don't have a proper specialized right back, and I see Lotte as more of almost like a Ben White type of situation where, yes, you want to play centrally, or that's what you think or people think or whatever. But what I see from my ignorant perspective, is I would rather see her on the side or in the middle of the park, because, and I'm going to sound terrible, but I think there's always a mistake in her. She's one of those type of players, and she's grown exponentially, but I don't want to, I believe Adam just summarized it right here. Adam believes in vibes, not facts. He clearly knows me very well. So with Lotta, she has grown exponentially, and I think the type of player that she is, I think it'll be more beneficial further up the pitch. I would even rather see her play where Pelova's playing sometimes, or right back. I personally would like to see that because she's tenacious and she's driven and she fights, and I like that from my wide players more than from my central players. My central players, I want, like Alana Kennedy, Alex Greenwood, Leah Williamson, Millie Bright, just like that I would trust them with my life.
Implicitly, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, like I'm like, okay, whatever. So, and also the clean sheets. If you play the same players and you don't keep clean sheets, well, I mean, it's almost like the answer's right there, I would think.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see, obviously, Leah coming back for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
on top of that, so just as I remember Jonas was saying, I think was it after the Brighton game or before? I can't remember. He's saying there is sort of a bout of minor injuries and illness through the squad. He did say that, so I can only assume that why some of them are probably not playing or not up for selection. So I did remember him saying that, but yeah, you're right about what Ruben Moyes, sorry, shall I say? Someone put in the chat, they're right. Because I was at that game when last season Champions League of Wolfsburg, and you can't make that. You can't do that kind of mistake that she's done. But she's come back strong, and I feel for her a little bit in terms of internationally, Demian, because England have had some big injuries, right? And I think she's probably one of the defensive players that just has not got a look in.
Yeah, she should.
And that's going back from the Euros. Yeah,
and she definitely, we would benefit so much if she were playing. She would play for England. I mean, if she's called up by Sarina Wiegman, for my money, among the best women's coach ever, why don't you play her? And I agree with you. I think she should be playing. She has grown so much. And by the way, Adam, he mentioned that I have jokingly that I have an agenda against women. I don't. There are players that I like to see in different positions for my ignorance, and I rather see her right back or in the middle of the park. That's what I say.
I think she could. I've seen her play right back. Does more than an adequate job. But yeah, in terms of the England thing, like, it's weird because I've seen everybody get a chance. Esme Morgan. Who else is there? Leticia didn't go to World Cup, but she's had been called up.
Even Kai Havertz has gotten playing defense.
But yeah, she's been look. Moyes been. I've been impressed from, obviously, like they said, the mistake she made last season. She's been consistent, but yeah, I'd like to see her get a shot of England, man. Like, she deserves some chances, man.
And also there are matches for England, maybe not coming up against the Netherlands and so on, but there have been matches that were lower stakes.
Yeah.
That if you don't want to play her for whatever reason against the Netherlands, let's just say, which, by the way, how she's playing right now, there's no reason why you wouldn't have her in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But you could also play her on a friendly against X, Y, or Z, or other matches in the Nations League. So I'm with you. I think it's a little unfair that that selfishly could reflect negatively on Arsenal, in that unnecessary trips, flying, potential injuries, training, because you cannot tell me. And there's no universe in my mind where Lotte Wubben-Moy doesn't go all in 100% in every training session, right? Like, I don't think there's an off switch to her. She just goes. So that potentially can mean an injury. It can mean fatigue. It can mean all these things. But if you're not going to play her, like, come on. Like, that's it's easier said than done. I understand that. I understand.
Still love you, Serena. Still love you.
Yeah. And I wanted to get your take really quick on Jonas overall. Like,
yes,
to me, the first couple of matches, he kind of lost me. I was like, oh my goodness, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we're second on the table, And I'm laughing because of this comment anti-DVD that will not be allowed in this in this chat. Stop it. Anyway, for real though, and Adam and I talk about this, and he's a brilliant person, and I thank you for being on the chat so actively.
Yeah, I know Adam is. Yeah.
You or I should say, I was getting into these not fully Jonas out situation, but definitely like there's some things that I needed sort of the instant gratification of figure it out now before the season starts. Come on. And it was unfair of me because of the lack of preparation, the Champions League's games coming so quickly after the World Cup. You know what I mean? So I want to get your perspective on it.
You make a good point about, because like from when the World Cup was like we talk about the men's game and just Demian, they're just killing the players with games after games.
Oh my goodness.
They don't care. That sounds harsh, but it's true. That's why you get so many injuries.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. You're playing more football, travel in between that. Of course you're gonna break down. But no, what are you saying? So about Jonas. So what he signed his contract extension in October, did he? Have I got that right? I think he did. On top of what he's already, I think he done his contract extension was in October. I'm sure it was. I might have been a couple months ago. I can't remember. But
I think it was about a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonas. He did. He kind of lost me for the first few games of the season, to be honest with you. But listen, he's done all right since he's come here, Jonas. You know Jonas reminds me of, right? Obviously he's our manager, but I think I can see why a lot of opposite managers get wound up by him. He just has that kind of manner and demeanor about him. But he speaks brilliantly when he's done a lot of the coverage during the Euros and obviously the World Cup. Like, you listen to him, think, wow, like this guy, it's like listening to a teacher. He's just so on point. But I do think he's just someone mentioned earlier in the chat, and I go back to what I said, like he's just trying to figure out his best 11. Yeah, I know there are some injuries in there and key players, but he's just trying to figure it out at the moment. But I think he's done them. And obviously, like, we got to our first semi-final Champions League last season, I think in 10 years.
Yeah.
Won the Conte Cup, obviously, last season. But I listened to a little bit of his interview, actually, before I knew he was coming on live, and when he signed the contract extension. He said one of the things he's sort of kind of has changed in the last couple of years is he feels there's a bit more of a stronger culture in the team and togetherness. And he say he loves being at Arsenal. He does. He knows how big a club it is. He's very happy to be here. He had no qualms about signing the contract extension. And like, you know, we played how many games is it? WSL games? 7 games, isn't it?
7 games, yeah.
Scored 17, goals against 8, goal difference. We're definitely way down on goal difference, so we got to improve that, even though we scored a bucketful against Leicester. But I like Jonas. He has that something about him. Demian, he kind of
he has that. Where did he get that haircut? But I'm with you. I think when he signed, you know, from my couch, I was like, what has he done to deserve a new contract? Right. Well, exactly what you just said. The culture, he's part of what has changed. He's part of the growth of the team. He's part of he allows players to blossom and be who they are and express themselves. And I think, unlike other coaches like the Mark Skinners of the world and you know, Gareth Taylor, you know, they don't let their players be. And I think Jonas does that with our players. And I think it's magical. And not to change topic 180 degrees, but I want to do that because I don't want to forget.
Go on.
And
yes,
you know, whenever I see pictures like this from my friends that they hang out or they're at a nightclub or a gig or something like that, and I see that none of the people look like me, I send them a #diversity message, right? With a funny face or a smiley face or ha ha ha, you need more Latinos, or, you know, whatever, some snarky comment. This was alarming for a lot of people. I even wrote a blog called Whitesenal about it. As somebody that has grown up, obviously a person of color, somebody that loves the club as well, somebody from London, when you see what you don't see in this picture, what are some of your feelings, if you feel comfortable talking about this?
Yeah, 100%. No, it's an important subject because it's not the first time it's come up. There is an issue in terms of the diversity push, in terms of the, I don't know whether it's accessibility, or because this came up as a question. I think it came up as a question after England won the Euros, because I think it was the same thing. There wasn't no players of any ethnic background in that England team. And it's a wider problem, by the way. This ain't just an Arsenal thing.
Absolutely.
Arsenal acknowledge that there's an issue there, and going through all the sort of age groups, there needs to be a bit more of a diversity change. I think there was an article I saw. I think it was in Guardian. Actually, I think I followed a guy on Twitter, actually, on Instagram, Morgan Afore. He did a piece on it, actually. He did a piece on it. I was just scanning through it now. But I'm surprised, them. I am surprised. I can understand with potentially other certain sports in this country that are classed as middle class, your crickets, your tennises, but in football, London, it's one issue I didn't think would be an issue, particularly with this sport. So for me, it is a concern as a man from the BAME community. And I would say them, I'll put my neck on it, but I'm pretty confident they will address this as it needs to be. Because even if you look at the recent World Cup with the England players, I think it's only Jess Carter and Lauren James in terms of ethnicity that were part of the entire 23 or 26 player squad. That needs to improve. Because there's many things need to improve in the women's game. That's another one. But it's important that clubs, not just Arsenal, like I said, this is a wider problem than the Arsenal women's football club, and it needs to improve. And I guess is there a time scale for this? As long as it's not brushed under the carpet and forgotten, that's the main thing. But I want to see. I don't want to see lip service. I want to see proactive action in order to tackle this issue.
I need to be careful sort of how I explain this, because it's such a touchy subject and it's very real as well. When I fell in love with Arsenal was because I saw videos of Ian Wright, David Rawcastle, Kevin Campbell, and they looked like I thought I looked like growing up in Venezuela, Latino, not white, basically. And also, Arsenal have had a history of black players, both in the men's team and in the women's team. Rachel Yankee, Danielle Carter, Leanne Sanderson, and so on and so forth. So it's not like Arsenal have systematically been, part of this, not on purpose, whatever that means, right? But one of the things that I learned, or I was told about, that was, and again, I'm not excusing this, but a lot of times, a lot of the teams or the players that live in the inner city, right, would need transportation to get out to where the teams have their academies and so on and so forth. But because they couldn't afford a car, or because they couldn't afford a train ride or Uber ride or whatever you want, they're not being able to sign with those clubs or be part of those academies because, or being in sort of in the conversation, trials, and so on and so forth, because they just can't afford the car. They cannot go. And again, it's not an excuse, but then you start kind of thinking about it. But as far as the timeline, if you sign somebody right now, some people are going to say like, well, that's just kind of this token to check, click a, type of situation. I'm not well versed enough in the sort of cultural race politics, situation. But I would like to think, and I believe it in my heart, that the club does not have an agenda. And you also can't tell me that there are currently Black and Latino players that aren't better than a lot of the players that we might have even in our squad. So that aren't just because they're a person of color. it's legit. They're amazing. So I wanted to get your thought because it's something that I know Viv has spoken about it. I don't remember the comments off the top of my head. I don't know if you do.
And Yona spoke about it very well as well, in terms of it being a major issue. Definitely through coming
Jen
through.
Bedio also mentioned it.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. So it's important that, listen, it's great that we're talking about it, and it should be an open forum, and people should highlight it, and it is important. It's very important. And the ladies, even who are non-black, should I say, they will push it, Demian. They will.
Absolutely.
100%.
And also, and I think the comments that Viv mentioned were sort of along the lines of, we might not have necessarily people of color, but we have all different backgrounds as far as countries, ethnicity. So well, maybe not ethnicities, but you know what I mean? Different country backgrounds. So there is diversity, maybe not in the solid color palette necessarily, but it can always be better. It can always be better. But then you get into the situation of like, when is better? Who decides what's better? Who decides what's enough? And all, this nonsensical stuff that when it gets to that point. But I don't want to get too much into this. I know we only have a couple more minutes left. I do want to say that I'm very happy. This is going to sound terrible about Emma Hayes coaching the U.S. national team. I'm very happy for her. I'm very happy for us. And I mean this in the most respectful way. She has been a force to be reckoned with, a mastermind. I love her interviews. I love her attitude. I love everything about her. I love when she digs at us. I love it. I think she is outstanding, and I will actually miss her being part of this sort of, the enemy, the army from Mordor that we have to conquer at some point. But are you going to miss her, or are you glad she's gone?
Well, I don't know about missing her, but no, she was there. Look, listen, it's a massive opportunity for her. I think she's always wanted it deep down. She's obviously worked in America before. I think she's been at Chelsea? She's been at Chelsea 12 years, 11, 12 years.
I think last time I thought it was 11 years.
Yeah, she's won a lot of major honors. Still eluded the Champions League, still eluded her, but they're still in it, Chelsea. So we never know. She might get a swan song. But I remember listening.
Let's hope.
I remember listening to Emma Hayes when she's part of the punditry coverage on I think on ITV for the men's Euros. She's brilliant.
Oh, unbelievable.
She got a lot of plaudits, and rightly so. She was excellent. She was superb. She won this job a long time. I know people have spoken about the England job, but it's just timing for me. It's timing. Listen, we've got a fantastic manager at the moment, Serena Wiegman, but fair play to Emma Hayes, because the thing is, Demian, it's not like she's walking into a job where you've got a dearth of talent. Yes, there's some key players that are going to left them. I think obviously Rapinoe's retired. I think Julie Ertz is now retired.
Yeah, Julie Ertz is gone. Yeah.
But they still got some fantastic players, man. Is it Sophia Smith? You've got what's the lady? Trinity Rodman. Yeah. They got some serious talent, man. I don't know who's coming through the American side. Sophie will know better than I will. But she's got into a very good job. They're a major, major force in world football, man. And have been for donkey's years. So fair play to her. I don't know what the contract situation, how long she's got over there, but she's good. She's going to be really looking forward to it, man. She's got some fantastic players to work with, 100%.
Yeah, she's outstanding, and like Adam said, she's as close as Sir Alex Ferguson in the women's game. She's won everything, or almost everything except the Champions League. But I think she's going to be unbelievable, and it's going to be amazing. And if they ever play against England, that's going to be really, really tasty.
I'll definitely get a ticket for that game.
Yeah. And there's also the component of, if I would guess that contract should be shorter so that she could take over Gareth Southgate at some point. I think she's a way better manager than he is, and in any capacity. And you mentioned timing. I think if this carrot dangling of the U.S. national women's team wouldn't have been there, she might have been in the running to replace Gareth Southgate. I don't know if England is ready for that, or the England fans are ready for that. I don't know, and I wouldn't want her to.
Yeah, our English FA, man. Yeah,
It's
that's
tough.
enough. That's enough
Yeah,
for show, man.
it's really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, before we go, not only do I want to obviously say thank you to you, Albert, for being an amazing co-host and all your wisdom and expertise. I want to thank everybody watching, of course, for tuning in and allowing me to be your host this first time ever.
Great job, Demian.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I'm trying to be like you and Sophie. But before we go, I want to show you guys a message that the legend that is Super Kevin Campbell left for all of us.
This is Super Kevin Campbell here, and I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to the Arsenal America and all the US fans out there. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful time. I know it's a festive period, and some of you will be traveling and you'll be with family. So please make sure you enjoy yourselves. Stay healthy, look after yourself, spread love, and keep God first. Keep God with you at all times. Look after yourselves. And most importantly as well, be happy, you Gooners. Okay? So again, Arsenal America, all the US Gooners, US fans out there, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time and a happy Thanksgiving. I wish I was there to help you with some of that food. I'm sure it's a very joyous time, but unfortunately I won't be there. But hopefully this message finds you all well and puts a smile on your face. I think that's really important too. So take good care, everybody. Look after yourselves. Super Kev, send in a fantastic Thanksgiving message to Arsenal America and you US Gooners. God bless, take care, and I love you.
Oh, it's so crazy that we share a show with Kevin Campbell. How insane is that?
It's crazy.
How crazy is that?
I love Super Kevin.
One thing I want to say to the Gooners in Philadelphia on the East Coast. I'm going to read some notes here. On December 19th, Sophie will be there as part of an Arsenal event with David Hillier, Dave Seeger, Poorly Drawn Arsenal, who's an amazing artist, and Sophie herself. You can follow Arsenal Philly for that. And it's going to be, again, December 9th. You can get tickets for that. You can reach out to Sophie. She'll put out more info about it. But that is going to be amazing for all of you in the East Coast. They're going to get together with these amazing people, especially our own very Sophie. So thank you all again. Albert, remind us of your channel. Remind us of when you post, all that good stuff.
Yes, Albert J. Twitter handle, just as you can see, people. AlbertJTV is the actual channel. Obviously, we had an international break, and I thought I'd take a little break as well.
Good.
Battery. So, yeah, I'll be back. Reviews, previews, YouTube shorts, guest appearing on other people's channels. Life stories will come back at some point. Weekly surgery. So I'll be coming back firing, man. Christmas and everything. Oh yeah, and I got a ticket for the West Ham game in the ballot. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, that's right. I saw your.
Yeah, third time. Yeah. I was surprised. I'm also surprised. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you, man. I truly appreciate you being here. Everybody, thank you so much for being, such an amazing part of the day. I appreciate you. And I don't know, Sophie, if you're there, I don't know the outro to this show, but I'm just going to say goodbye. At ease, everybody. At ease. Thank you so much.